All right, so here we are. This is going to be the last video for the create the C and the CRUD method. Uh, so this one won't be as long. Hallelujah. Anyways, all right, let's look at what we have now. So thus far we have created all four of our tables, okay, and we've started inserting data into our data file, which is going to our tables by using the insert into and in values command. So that's what we have here so far, okay, and now we're ready to insert data into our album table because right now we have data inside of our artist table, our band table, and our label table. And now it's time to put some into our album table. So let's come back over here and look at the slides. Now we're ready to take on the album table. The only thing we'll need to do differently is make sure that we are assigning the correct artist ID, band ID, and label ID for each album. So let's insert into album. Insert into album. If I can spell that correctly, and I can. We want to insert into album the title, artist ID, band ID, label ID, and year released. So I'm going to do this on separate lines. Title, artist underscore ID, band underscore ID, label underscore ID. We have year released. And then values. And the first album that we have is The Love Supreme. Two, the number two is saying which artist it is. Null. 6 and 1964. Meaning that A Love Supreme is the title, the artist ID is 2, the band ID is null, the label ID is 6, and the year released is 1964. All right, let's try to do this. So I'm going to copy all of this out. Come over here and paste it inside of. Oh, and we got an error right here. It says that the column band ID cannot be null. If I were to describe band, we said band ID cannot be null. So that means that when we're trying to pass it here inside of our album table, it can't be null. So we got a big problem here in our schema. And this happens quite a bit, okay? It's like this is part of building a database and maintaining it and stuff. You will come across errors, okay? Big errors like this right here. Because the way that our database has been designed, we cannot insert no values for the band ID. Or rather, we can, no, the band ID cannot be null. But we may need it to be null for our data when we're entering it for the album. So we need to make a modification to the album table. All right. So what we got to do, we need to modify our band ID column in the album table so that it can receive null values. To do that, we go into our schema file. We're going to alter the table and modify this column. Okay. Right now, if we look at in our schema table and we look at album and we have band ID is not null, well, we don't want that. We want it to where the band can be null in the album table. because some albums won't feature a band, they'll feature an artist. Likewise, some albums will feature an artist and not a whole band. So we need to correct that. Okay. So how do we correct that? We're gonna say alter table album. So let's do that inside of schema. Let's say alter table album. And then we want to modify band ID. So I'm gonna say modify band underscore ID. And I'm gonna put the constraints that I want in here. So I'm gonna say small int unsigned. Those are the constraints that I want for band ID. Alter table album, modify band ID, small int. I'm gonna come back over here. I'm gonna copy this and I'm going to paste it. Okay. And then I'm going to do the same thing for artist ID, remove not null from it, and then re-enter our first value. So now, I'm going to come back over here and still altering the album table, but now we're going to modify artist ID. So that way we can have null values in the album table for artist ID and band ID. So I got that, copied it, come over here and paste it. Now I'm going to enter that data in again for Love Supreme. That's this right here. Again, this is why I like to write it up inside of their own files. That way we can track what we did with our schema and our data, make sure that we have good solid templates. Now I come over here, hit enter, and it says query okay, one row affected. So we successfully added the first album in the table. Now that works. Now, again, that's the C for CRUD, which is create. So let's go in now. Now we know how to do this. Let's insert into the database the rest of the albums. So if we go back to our data model, so that was the first one, I Love Supreme. So now the second one is ABC. So we can do it like so. I'm going to say insert into album. It's going to be again title, artist underscore ID, band underscore ID, label underscore ID, year underscore released, values. And now I can start putting in information again. All these different sets need to be separated by parentheses and commas. So ABC, the artist is null, band ID 4, label ID 8, and 1970 for the year released. Hit that, comma, and new entry. So again, you can just follow along with me while I type this up. And then once I get done, you can pause the video. Make sure that you're getting everything in there. Oh no, big fun. Oh. 3. Okay. I will need to look at that. Uh, and 1 minute. But that, let's see, three, no, three, and 1974. So yeah, check you're altering the table album. So a Love Supreme did not make sure that the data is matching up. But I'll look at it in just a moment. It's 1995, 6. 1971. I knew you would. What was it? Aha. 1970. Stream. And the doors. No 2 4 1967. No 2 4 1967. Okay, so these are the rest of the albums from the table. If you want to add albums based on the artist that you created, you can do that. But make sure that you also have labels uh, for the artists and bands for those particular albums. Otherwise, you have to go and insert those that information as well. But here I have all of my data for album. Come on here and paste. Oh, we got an issue. Column count doesn't match value count at row 2. Also, looks like I missed something here. Yeah. So no 3, and then I forgot the album was the label. So it was 3 and 3. So it should be all in all no 3 and then another 3. Yep. Yeah, so it tells me column count doesn't match value count at row 2. So here's my columns. This is my value. See, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 columns. And in row 2, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 values. So it doesn't match. So didn't like that. I went and fixed it. Hit enter. Cool. Working now. So yeah, you'll want to pause as you need to. Okay. And enter the data from the data model. Again, if you added more artists and more bands, you want to put those other albums, you can do that. Make sure that you'll also have labels that correspond with the particular album that you want to enter. Okay, I'm going to stick with this right now for this lesson, but please, by all means, go above and beyond, get your fingers acclimated, understand what's happening with MySQL, how we are creating uh, the database. So that is it for Create Again. And the next thing that we'll do in the next set of videos is we'll talk about how do we retrieve data, because now we have the data stored in the database, and what we're going to want to do next is we're going to figure out how we can retrieve data, get data from the database, and we'll do that in the next video. So what do you do with these videos? First of all, you watch them, and then you follow along with them, and then you like them, and then you share, and then you comment, and you, what do you say, ring the bell? Ring the bell, whatever that does, um, and all those other good things. All right, and I'll catch you all. We'll be talking about retrieve next.